for Oklahoma, it's not just facing the #2 team in the nation. It's playing in this environment in front of 18,000. Here's Tahina Paopao. 1-2 step up off the window, and South Carolina scores first. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups. Brought to you by Toyota. Payton Verhulst is coming off a career-high 38 points as Raegan Beers takes a three from the top of the key. Paopao scoping the floor. She finds Chloe Kitts, who gets rejected by Beers.
One thing Jenny Blanchett kept talking about in shoot-around today, our pace in the half-court offense needs to be better. She wants to force South Carolina to chase them in the half-court.
What are we talking, ball movement there?
Ball movement and pace of cuts, because a good cut can open up a teammate as well.
Raven Johnson from the free throw line, but Oklahoma working in transition. Skylar Vann. Here's Bree Hall. Swing it into the corner to Paopao. Sanaya Fagan inside. 7 seconds on the shot clock for the Gamecocks. She's going up against Raegan Beers. Stripped by Vann. Skylar Vann with the patience. Here's Raven Johnson guarded by Verhulst. Paopao led the nation in three-point percentage last season. Raina Scott forcing it up ahead to Liz Scott. Can't finish around Chloe Kitts. Inside to Sanaya Fagan, just short. Got her own rebound, and she'll go to the free throw line.
They can beat you from three. They can beat you on the glass, and they can beat you with their defense.
On the team. Nobody's probably getting any postseason awards individually because they're such a deep team. That's how they have success.
Well, we saw it was the freshman, Edwards, who led them in scoring against Alabama. It's been Paopao a number of times. It's been Fulwiley a number of times in SEC play. You've got to be so mature and disciplined defensively. So, yeah, you get your bearings, you're doing well, and then the bench comes in.
A bench that averages 42 points per game, first in the nation.
And Oklahoma switching up the defense is just trying to prevent South Carolina from getting in any kind of groove.
Fulwiley just took it back. Bree Hall corralling it, and South Carolina gets the bucket. An annual base salary of $4 million a year now, total value of $25.25 million. She was extended through the 2020.
And that's what Dawn Staley has become for the game of women's basketball at all levels. She is about growing our game, and she is selfless in that nature. And what's really remarkable is when you hear the other SEC coaches, the other coaches around the country rave about what Dawn is doing. It's something to watch. We know Oklahoma wants to play with pace, but they seem sped up. They played Tennessee. They played Texas. Two really good defensive teams. They've been unforced in the half court.
Mariam Dowda, they want more offense. Sahara Williams, the catch and shoot. Or was it a pass over to Skylar Vann? She's got some free throws on the way. Vann misses the first. Colonial Life Arena College game day will be here. It's 7 Eastern on ESPN.
ISO for Fagan to go one-on-one.
4 games now that Ashlyn Watkins has been unavailable. She tore her ACL against Mississippi State. She's out for the season. So what have you seen from that post-rotation about who's stepping up and filling that spot of Watkins?
I think it's the two bigs on the floor right now for South Carolina. It has been Edwards and Watkins. Dawn Staley knows she's got to get another post in that rotation, but Watkins is being so much more assertive on the offensive end. Now, I'm sorry, Edwards is being so much more assertive on the offensive end, as well as Fagan. And it is always next player up for this program.
Sahara Williams shooting through the double team. Rebound by Edwards. Fulwiley looking to cook. Over to Edwards. Oh, Joyce! That foul was the first on Chloe Kitts. She's got the takeaway up to Raven. MiLaysia didn't even need to touch the ground. Fly, Lay! South Carolina can take the last shot of the quarter. They've scored 6 in a row. MiLaysia Fulwiley, clock winding down. She's just going to let it go. My gosh! South Carolina now the 12th time this season they have held an opponent to single digits in the quarter. It's the seventh time they've done it against a ranked opponent. What's got to change for Oklahoma?
Take care of the basketball. 15 points for South Carolina off of the 6 turnovers in that first quarter. South Carolina's too good to give them extra opportunities.
Raina Scott misses. Raegan Beers with the offensive rebound. She was 1 for 3 in the first 10 minutes. Lexi Keys cutting to the basket for the bucket.
And that's what I'd like to see more of from Oklahoma. You've got to counter the high-pressure defense of South Carolina with some of those backdoors, some of the hard cuts to the rim.
Inside to Edwards, guarded by Skylar Van. Same move. Let me step around you.
Here's what's impressive by that move. Lexi Keys came with a double. Great response by Oklahoma. But Lexi Keys came with a double. Edwards didn't rush. She baited her time there and then went when it was one-on-one to score.
Oh! Tessa Johnson hit that from the baseline, behind the basket.
Pretty sure she was working on those fancy shots too today. Nice help side by Raegan Johnson.
And Raegan Beers having trouble scoring. I mean, who doesn't against South Carolina?
The gauntlet of non-conference games that they faced over and over, it is against ranked teams.
When you look at quad wins, South Carolina has 7. And quad ranking, it takes into account where the game was played. So that's something new in the women's game this year that the selection committee will be looking at.
Don't you think if a team comes into Colonial Life and wins, they should get 2 wins?
Yep.
It's just
I don't think South Carolina would agree with that. Raegan Johnson in the corner, no. Offensive rebound for Edwards. Top of the key. I mean, 2 extra chances there for South Carolina. Kitts finishes. Lexi Keys by herself in transition.
Oklahoma trying to switch up their defenses, but not everyone's able to hear because it's so loud in here. Lexi Keys countlessly repeating the defense, still couldn't get 5 players on the same page.
Raina Scott. So now Oklahoma's hit 4 of its last 5.
And credit them, they're doing it before South Carolina can get set up defensively.
Sooners pushing. Verhulst has not scored, coming off a career-high 38 points. We're talking about number 12 in Crimson. And South Carolina hasn't scored since that Kitts bucket. MiLaysia Fulwiley back on the floor.
So Oklahoma will do some 2-3 matchup zone on the out of bounds.
Nevaeh Tot for 3. Rebound by Scott. Swiped by Breezy. Up ahead to Fagan, and she's fouled.
Well, she said the 2 Achilles heel to this offense, turnovers and fouls. it just cuts the flow. It cuts that chemistry and momentum for them, and you just can't get any positive momentum going when you're turning the ball over.
Already 8 turnovers.
And I mean, this is an offense of Oklahoma that is second in assists in the country, averaging 22 a game, and they shoot the ball extremely well, average 88 points. Why are they only 3-2 in the SEC? To your point, the turnovers.
Yeah.
Well, before I prep for this game?
Yeah. It's interesting because the stats kind of align. I mean, these two teams statistically have some strengths, but the turnovers holding Oklahoma back.
And this is a South Carolina program. If you remember 4 years ago, I remember Don Staley used to say to her team, throw it up there before we turn it over. And now it's a strength of their ball security, mainly because of point guard play that she has now.
I mean, the wingspan by Joyce Edwards on display.
But that was one thing Jenny Blanchett talked about. She said, don't get me wrong. South Carolina is so good. Their defense has improved so much this year, a lot because of rim protection of Raegan Beers. But it is the turnovers that is the biggest difference in these two programs right now, and why South Carolina's sitting at 5-0 in the league, and Oklahoma's at 3-2.
Well, Oklahoma brings in 4 new players. MiLaysia, finger roll, and a big smile on her face. To Beers. And Raegan Beers now 6 points.
And that's when she's at her best. A high-low at a transition. She buried the defender, showed her numbers, easy pass, easy score.
The long 2 for Beers. Gets the bounce. And then having this setback with a shoulder injury a week ago today. Jenny told us, I've underestimated a little bit how long it's taken us to get used to playing with a big post presence.
And when you play an offense like Oklahoma does, you can't think. You just got to go. And so I think some of it is still the transition of, we got a great low post player. I need to get it into her versus, hey, I'm open and taking this outside shot.
Tessa Johnson steps into the mid-range game as South Carolina gets look after look.
You could just tell, just ripping the ball clear there.
Oh, wow. The vision to see Joyce. Oklahoma can take the last shot of the half. South Carolina with its largest lead. Taken away by Bree Hall. Right down Main Street.
Fatigue there late in the second quarter because Don Staley just keeps throwing post at her, and they're running and they're trying to isolate her at different times. What Oklahoma needs to do is when there's a low post seal, doesn't matter if it's Fan, doesn't matter if it's Beers, they can't hesitate. They've got to see the pass before they make the pass.
Yeah, Raegan Beers calling for it. She gets it, number 52 in crimson, over to Sahara Williams. And South Carolina comes out with the basketball. Up ahead to Raven Johnson. The Gamecocks ended the half on a 6-0 run. Oklahoma hasn't scored in over 3 minutes.
They need to get something out of transition.
Down low to Skylar Van. Will go to the free throw line. This would be a good barometer for where are we at as a program. Of course, remember, first year in the SEC.
And you can't underestimate how difficult that is. Now that you've hit January, that since they played Texas, a foe in the Big 12, the next 4 weeks are against teams that you are not used to playing against. So that's a new scout. It's the first half performance for South Carolina. Obviously, they looked really good on offense, but I thought their defense was really stingy, holding Oklahoma lowest shooting percentage, holding them to their lowest points, and this is the 4th highest scoring offense in the country in Oklahoma.
Yeah, they average 88 a game. With the clock winding down, Tahina Pow goes bang. Raegan Beers turns around and knocks it down. That'll put her in double figures.
Fagan immediately looks at Don Staley. Don Staley says it's okay, because what Fagan's doing is playing team defense by backing off, preventing any of those cuts. Great read by Beers there just to elevate and knock it down.
Little short corner action. South Carolina shooting 47% from the field. They were shooting 50% at halftime. Same spot, back to back. 6 seconds for Raven. Short rebound by Kitts. Over to Sanaya Fagan. Block to block. Top throws it away. Oh my. Little runner for Raven.
South Carolina is really remarkable that kids check their ego. Someone like Sanaya Fagan doesn't play much for 3 years and now is starring in her fourth year. You don't see players paying off, obviously in national championships, but it's also paying off in the fact that these young ladies are becoming pros. 12 former players playing in the WNBA. It's a great infomercial for what Dawn Staley's doing here.
Joyce Edwards wanted the foul, finished through the contact anyway. And the transition bucket for Skylar Vann. And Dawn has been asked several times, how do you get players to stay? And she said, I've been honest with them from the beginning. It's always an honest conversation.
I think that's one of the parts of Dawn Staley's leadership that really doesn't get enough credit. It's her communication ability.
Raven got it back. South Carolina's got numbers, and an open Bree Hall. I mean, last season, South Carolina was the 10th team to go undefeated and win a national championship. It was their 7th 30-win season in the last 10 years. The Pat Summitt Foundation this year was able to launch, well, it's been less than a year now, Pat's Game Plan, a guide for Alzheimer's and dementia caregivers. So Pat, not just fighting against the disease, but helping those caregivers, caring for those that have this.
Always the leader was Pat Summitt. Thought of others before herself, even during the hardest time of her life. And
go online and get that for caregivers. A great resource. You see South Carolina with their We Back Pat shirts on, too. Oklahoma had special We Back Pat shirts for their warm-ups today. 24 points off of those turnovers for South Carolina.
So you're seeing a matchup zone now by Oklahoma.
Bree Hall just crushed a three. In fact, faced off in a state championship game, and MiLaysia put up 41 points on Joyce's team. Joyce has not forgotten that. Transition three for Tessa Johnson. Still trying to perfect and get comfortable with having that post presence for the first time under Ginny Baranchak at Oklahoma.
Up and in, they got her net. Again, too much delayed there.
They had a couple of chances to get her the basketball. Fulwiley go up and block that?
Yes.
Joyce Edwards. Number 12, Kentucky against Texas A&M. Christie will be on the call for that one at 7. And in Madison Booker, the battle of the UTs, Texas and Tennessee. That'll take place in Austin.
Well, if you like defense, as a freshman point guard, to have the assist to turnover ratio that she does.
She hasn't had more than 2 turnovers in a game. Van wide open. Circuit.
I mean, Courtney, for the future of South Carolina, right now you have a junior in Dowda in her first year at South Carolina.
We got to talk to her today at shoot-around, transferred in from Arkansas, and it's been such a different stop for her at South Carolina.
Which I was shocked, because I remember a game last year, I think she had like 8 blocks against Alabama. So she's learning a new skill set. And what I really loved is that you can tell she's eager to embrace all of this learning.
2 seconds, Oklahoma's got to get a shot up. And it's going to be a shot clock violation. Is that like selfish? Did you just want to see if she'll drop another logo 3?
Fan.
Oh, she's waiting. Thought about it. That one a little off. Everyone on that floor of the hotel was awake after that. amazing.
It's hard to come back from that.
Yeah, what do you say?
She is a sports fan.
Super fan.
Through and through.
If you were watching NFL Countdown, you saw that Dawn picked the Eagles to win by 2 touchdowns. So
see, this is where I think everyone assumed she was talking about the Eagles. Right now, it could be this score.
Yeah, it could be. South Carolina has dominated Oklahoma, who is the number 13 team in the nation. They have led by as many as 40 points today.
But what I will say about them is I like how Oklahoma has come out of that break. 2 touches for Beers, 2 buckets for Beers. Good passes leading her to score.
Wide open Tessa. Offensive rebound, Raven.
Averaging over 1 offensive rebound a game. That is the point guard for the Gamecocks doing that.
Raegan Beers. Dowda stepping through the double team.
I mean, it was remarkable to hear the confidence that Dawn Staley has in Miriam Dowda.
Okay.
And I got confidence in Raegan Beers right now.
23 points.
Feeding the hot hand.
3 for 3. Just trading the long ball.
You were saying?
For 3. Oklahoma 5 for 5 in this quarter from the field. Inside to Kitts. Got the bucket.
She can score through contact.
Been a focus for her getting in the weight room. South Carolina's hit 10 threes today.
When they get a defensive rebound, because she pushes tempo. Jenny Baranczyk has basically 3 point guards that she can cycle through. You got Tot, you got Scott, and you got Zaya Van as well.
Tot, Scott, and Van. Just sounds like a law group or something.
I feel like you're looking for another NIL deal for some student athletes.
Always. Joyce Edwards, I feel like you just can't speed her up. She knows what she wants. In a ranked battle with Oklahoma, South Carolina is led by as many as 42 points.
2 coaches who believe in rebounding the ball. It's going to be interesting. I'm eager to see LSU's start to the game. Their recent games, they have struggled to get off a good start.
South Carolina came out the gate, scored 28 points in the first 10 minutes and only gave up 9 points, and they have not let go of control since then.
I like the growth of Landry Allen for Oklahoma the last couple of games. Had not played many minutes. Last 3 games now, doubling her scoring average and just making winning plays for this ball club.
Aubrey Jones hits. South Carolina just dropped 100 points on the 13th ranked team in the nation.
Courtney, do you think the bench was celebrating the 100 points or Adele Tech? Because this is
Adele,
a
for
true
sure.
picture of chemistry and culture for South Carolina.
South Carolina's played 12 players and 10 of them have scored. Short. Now South Carolina can just get it across half court and hang on to the basketball. led by as many as 43 points. They will pick up their first ever win against Oklahoma. And that home win streak feels pretty good to be at home for the Gamecocks. 68 straight home wins. That is now tied for 8th in NCAA history.